justice for all.
Welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting for Moines County, August 29th, 2025. Are there any changes to the agenda?
I have none.
I have none. We shall meet with department heads and elected officials. Cheryl, the auditor's office.
Good morning. Tomorrow's the deadline for levying authorities to file their budgets with the auditor's office, so that'd be like cities, schools, townships, anybody that, levies a tax. Tomorrow's the deadline for that. That's all I have.
Thank you. Colin Gerst, IT.
Good morning. Just keeping busy like always, but nothing new to report.
Sheriff Glendenning.
Good morning. I brought our newest deputy, Eric Kramer, over with us today. Just wanted to give an opportunity for the board to meet him and all the other folks in attendance to put a name with a face. Eric was a reserve with us for the last 3 years, and we hired him officially yesterday, and he starts the academy next Monday. So pretty excited to have him, and wish him all the best moving forward. He's going to be a great fit for us.
I look forward to serving the county for many years to come.
Boy, you got regrets.
Welcome aboard, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you.
Other than that, our Youth Academy graduation's this Wednesday, so we're finishing up that 10-week Youth Academy program. We usually do the last day, we go out on the Indy Boat Patrol and do a little ceremony at the end of that, so we'll do that on Wednesday evening. And then our jail this morning was at 98, and we had 25 out of county. So we are pretty full out there.
How many we got waiting for?
It's the constant rotation. We have 2 going to the residential facility, hopefully this week, but that list tends to be fairly long. The state list, they move right along. They've been really good for the last several months, to be quite honest. If we get somebody on the list, they take them within about a week. And I know we had at least 2, and I don't know how yesterday went, but there's probably more added to that list from court yesterday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Zach, how's the regional planning?
Yeah, good. Things are going well. Pretty much business as usual. Got a subdivision out for review, probably be in front of you guys maybe next week or the week after. Somebody stopped in for a zoning permit yesterday for something, and just kind of typical some phone calls. Got a couple other subdivisions possible in the works, things like that. So pretty typical agenda item for today too.
Okay, thank you. Janelle, Treasurer's Office.
Good morning. We're keeping busy. We're preparing to print May delinquent notices and notice of tax sale at the end of this year. But, other than that, nothing new to report.
Thank you. Shannon, Emergency Manager.
Good morning. I have nothing exciting for the board this morning.
Well, that's good news.
Always good news in my
Especially after last night.
Yes. Thankfully it went north of us.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Angie, how's the Safety Department?
Good morning, we're doing good, keeping busy. Had the state safety meeting last week. Learned some interesting things and also have some grant opportunities coming up that I think is really gonna help us out with some of the things that I would like to bring to the county. So, working on those. Their grant money's gone for right now, but as of July, they're gonna be opening it back up. So I know that I'm in for one of them, and then we'll look at some more things. So it was a good meeting. I learned something every time I go, even though I've done it this many years. But
Yeah.
so
Well, thank you. Lisa, how's the Attorney's Office going? I know you've been busy, but.
It did blow up while I was gone, so I guess we're doing okay. No, we're always busy. Obviously, last week I was in the Dominican and did not miss any of you at all, so sorry.
We missed
Cassie
you.
was officially sworn in, so now we're only down 1 attorney. And so hopefully we can work on that. We're actually interviewing for student legal interns this week. Those are the law students who've completed 2 years of law school. They'll intern for a 10-week program, so we have interviews set up for them this week. So that'll be nice to have them come on board. We're still working on interviewing candidates for Lisa Harris's empty position. Just haven't had a lot of luck so far, but we're still interviewing for that. Working on a domestic violence training. We went with the AG's office. We've been working on that for the last month or so, to have them come down and do some training for our prosecutors, law enforcement for the regional area. We don't get a lot of AG training specific to Southeast Iowa. So I've been able to work with John Gish, who is the Crime Victims Assistance Director. Hold on, they all got new titles now. Section Chief, I believe, is his title. He's a former Washington County attorney who went to the Attorney General's office when AG Byrd was elected. And so we're working together to get a training down here in October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So that'll be keeping us busy for the next couple of months, trying to get that all organized. And otherwise, yeah, I'm just playing catch up personally.
Okay, thank you. Rodney, how's the maintenance department?
Oh, we're doing okay, just really busy. Nothing new to report today.
Nothing to report. Mr. Carter, secondary roads.
Good morning. Plenty of going on. Probably be a good stretch to avoid Middletown just at the moment. They're working in Middletown on asphalt as we speak. And it's kind of a mess there, but today they'll finish the first lift in Middletown, and then I'm not sure which end they'll start on. They're hoping to switch and start doing the regular asphalt after that. So exactly where that'll be, we'll find out. But that's moving along that's on Old Highway 34. And they're pouring a bridge deck on Danville Road this morning. So that's obviously good progress for that. Hopefully within the next couple weeks, they'll be pouring the one on North Gear also. That one's a little bit behind, like I mentioned before. So all sorts of stuff going on.
Okay, thank you. Did I miss anybody? Seeing I didn't miss anybody, we should go to correspondence. Didn't see any here, but either of you gentlemen have any correspondence?
I have none.
I've received a number of emails, as I suspect you guys did, regarding the wind energy.
Yes.
But I know there's a work session next week that will be discussing that.
I got the same emails. If I had to read them all, we'd be here until 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Okay. Moving on to discussion vote. We have payroll reimbursement claims in the amount of $242.72.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. We have resolution 2025-23 setting time and the date for the fiscal year 25 budget amendment hearings.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. Okay, now we have a 3-year contract with janitorial agreement. Rodney, do you want to elaborate on this?
Yeah, I can, I apologize, I left my sheet downstairs, but I believe it's a 1-year agreement with Porter Cleaning for CPC offices, roads, emergency management, joint safety building, and also the jail. So I don't remember what those numbers are, but that's for annual, for a 1-year annual agreement.
The jail is 5 times per week, $3,295, and the Moines County Conservation and the Moines County Road and CPC is $241 each, and it comes up total for all 3 of them, $48,216.
Correct.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cheryl?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yep.
Jim Carrey?
Yes. Well, thanks for the work you do on that, because that's been a saving for us. We have a 3-year contract with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning for land use. And this is renewed every 3 years.
I was waiting for Jim to ask me, but.
I wanted to get here so where I could see what was doing for sure. Okay, Zach.
No, it's fine. No, this, we've been having this, we had this agreement, I don't, since kind of the mid-2000s, updated every 3 years. We talked about it at the, budget hearing back in January. Really, the only difference is the price is a little bit more than what it was 3 years ago, and we added reference to the airport regulations and the wind and solar regulations too. Those weren't in the previous contract as services we provide. We were doing it anyway, I guess, but, just make that official, so. I'll continue to be the land use administrator, and Jared is the assistant. He's the one who does 90% of the work, so I'm gonna give him most of the credit. He does a great job. And then we're slowly kind of working Jack Swarm in as well too. Who's been new to us for about 6 months and has a lot of background in land use services and building inspection, things like that, so. But we appreciate, working with you guys for several years and hopefully continue to.
This has all been approved in the budget and incorporated in the budget. I make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second. Cheryl.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yep.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Jared, all he just said.
Okay.
Oh.
We have the workforce housing tax incentive presentation.
Good morning, fellow supervisors. Ryan Nagrocki here with Midwest Realty Group, and got, I think, the packets in front of you guys for the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program. This is a program, it's been a while, it's been around for quite a while throughout the state. We've utilized this successfully 3 different times now to either develop mainly new construction actually, here in Des Moines County in the Burlington, West Burlington area. We've built about 90 units actually under this program. This program provides capital to developers throughout the state. It is a competitive application process. And so I'm here in front of you today just to give you some quick highlights about the program, and then future work sessions here to discuss potentially getting your support for a project. We purchased some apartments, used to be known as Sundown Apartments over off Memorial Park Road, 56 units, highly dilapidated, an underutilized asset actually here in our county for affordable housing. So we're looking at kind of redeveloping those, and hopefully with your support, applying to this program and utilizing this capital, this statewide, to bring that money here as you guys probably do the same thing with capital improvement projects throughout the county. If there's other sources for your capital stack, you want to bring that money here so it costs the taxpayers less for that investment. So, Colin, if you don't mind. So right now what the state's doing, they've got about $35 million allocated statewide. They do go between large communities and small communities. Being that our property is located in Burlington, we are considered a large community actually. The maximum award you can receive per project is $1 million. Keep going. So this eligible project site, so what we're gonna be discussing with you guys at a future work session is under the repair or rehab of dilapidated housing stock. So Sundown Apartments out there was built in the early 90s actually, so they're not, by the age of our housing stock in Moines County, not that old. However, they were very underutilized and did not have that maintenance piece of it that was done over the course of time, so. They do give you some cost caps on some things. Multifamily, we would not hit that cost cap based on these units. Keep going. So this here is the piece that would affect the county that we would be requesting. Part of the requirement for the application process to the state is that we receive a local match and a resolution of support in that. And so basically a local match of a minimum of $1,000 per unit is what is required. An allowable match can be cash equivalent, tax abatements, any exemptions, rebates, refunds, or reimbursements. Obviously, this being in the county, I've worked with Zach, discussing permit needs or whatnot, depending on what we're doing. And it is outside the city's jurisdiction, so the tax abatement and different things obviously does not apply. So this is a requirement, and if we do not have any support on this, then it does not allow us to get funding for it. We are going to be seeking around $700,000 from the state to apply for that. So that money would directly go into that project and rehabilitate that. There's a total of 56 units there. When we purchased those apartments back in October, there was 24 of the 56 occupied, and all the other remaining units were very dilapidated and not habitable. Since October, we have pretty much turned the property over to where there's maybe 3-4 people that were living there that are currently there. And we're trying to clean up the neighborhood a little bit to get it strategically in line for us to rehab. We have rehabbed about 20 of the 56 units currently, and we're just now starting to lease those up, and that is going well. This is an example resolution that you could reference if you'd like. Keep going. Yeah, so these tax credits don't allow you to do short-term rental or Airbnb. It's got to be actually long-term, permanent type housing. It's all market rate based, so it's not low-income housing or income-based housing at all. It's all market rate housing. And then I guess the rest of this actually just gets into the application process and the scoring criteria and whatnot. But we'd like to have your guys' support on this. I know last year it was a timing thing when we tried to get with you guys, and I ended up being sick, and then I was out of town, and so it didn't work. But in the past, we've done 3 different projects under this exact program, and I look at it as if the state's going to publish funds to housing, we need to bring that money here, because we have some of the oldest housing stock here in southeast Iowa, or in the state actually. And I see that these opportunities can help us as developers leverage different sources of capital to rehab our area and provide that to the citizens of Des Moines County. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I don't have any more at the work station. I'll probably have some.
What's that?
No, I think I got everything.
I don't have any questions, I've got a few comments. Zach's gonna tell you part of what I'm gonna say. Anyway, and I am not a fan of taxpayer-funded housing subsidies, and that's not a secret. And as you look through the local match and resolution, it talks about TIF, tax abatements. To do those things, you have to have an urban renewal.
Correct.
Or I think counties, I think they call it a revitalization plan.
Different, the urban renewal is for tax increment financing and urban revitalization is simply tax abatement.
Okay, anyway, so we don't have either one of those. Either of those would cost a lot of taxpayer money, and I'm sure take months to draft, have all the public hearings, and do that. And I've been on this board for a while, and I don't believe I've ever served with a supervisor that was interested in that. There's no countywide zoning. And we've given a few donations. Zach talked us out of one for a nonprofit for a minimum investment by the county for a required match. And so we've done that for a few nonprofits and a couple entities. We gave the city of Burlington money for their playground.
Yep.
Thought it was be a good asset for the county. And no disrespect or implication intended, but I'm not at all comfortable writing a check to a private developer. And I'm just not. The others were nonprofit. And this is the part Zach wouldn't have told you, but I do think this is an important project. And so I checked on it a little bit, and I spoke or emailed the gentleman listed on that workforce.
Yep.
Anyway, so when you go to local match and resolution, it says allowable match shall include cash or cash equivalent, tax abatements or exemptions, rebates, refunds, or reimbursements. So, I sent Mr. Sorensen a question. I said, cash equivalents are typically understood as short-term liquid investments like CDs or short-term notes or something like that. And I asked him if that's that definition of cash or cash equivalents was the same in this context. And so he very thoughtfully replied to me, and he said, cash or cash equivalent would be something of equitable value that does not require repayment. So, and I am not promising my support, but I've talked to somebody. There might be a way to make this a win, both the county and the project. I don't have an answer back yet, so it could go either way. But I'm, in that context, in light of that, I would be willing to consider it in another week or two.
Appreciate that. And happy to help and have those discussions to make it equitable. And I understand it's a controversial thing to support housing developments with taxpayer funding, and those tax abatement programs in town, those are set up for development. And I understand we don't have that in the county. And those are discussions too that maybe we can have, because I'm a growth guy. I like to see our communities grow, our tax base grow. And I think tax base on this specific project, I know will, in the next 3 to 5 years, probably triple in assessment based on the improvements that we're doing. So money will return.
Two or three things about it that appeal to me.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
but anyway, so that's my comment for today, and but anyway, so I'm not saying no outright.
Yep, appreciate that. Thanks for your time.
Zach's smiling.
Just think you referenced me and I know what you would say.
Well, you've
You're
heard
pretty
it
close. Yeah, you're pretty
any
close.
number of times, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, we have a personnel action for the correctional center. It's for Charles Robert Thompson, part-time transport officer. New hire, $21.19 an hour.
Motion to approve.
Second. Cheryl?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yes. Fire Trust, annual report. We got the current from, 1/1/25 to 3/1/25. And, looks like the gain on it. The beginning balance was $2,244,775. And with $14,125.69, it is $2,245,500, or $254.35.
I think it covers about 3 cents of the levy that, it's for the,
To help lower taxes.
yeah, that was,
Bob would give a good speech on that.
he would say it was intended for the rural services levy.
Rural services.
It's in the general, it's really to the general basic levy.
Okay. We don't have to prove this.
Never just stamp a receipt, that's just a report.
Okay, we have the minutes for the regular meeting on April 22nd, 2025.
Motion to approve minutes?
Second.
Cheryl?
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah. Okay, future agenda items.
I have none.
One thing I know, we got work session next Tuesday on the wind
Okay.
ordinance. That'll be right after the meeting, right after next Tuesday's meeting.
I think it's set at 10:30, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
10:30?
So it might not be right after the meeting.
That's as soon as they can do it.
Committee reports.
Sarah and I met with our liability insurance representatives to, just going over the county's liability coverage. It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. Dollars.
Yeah, I didn't have any meetings, I did attend the plant manager's reception on Thursday, and I thought that went quite well.
I had an executive board meeting on Southeast Iowa Regional Planning with Zach there. We got some recommendations we're gonna put for the full board coming, our next full board meeting. And by the way, Zach, that was a good choice for the meal that day too. I'll give you credit for picking it out instead of Sharon.
I get no credit.
They feed you?
I just show up.
Yeah.
Tom's rethinking. This is-
Wow, Zach fed you, wow.
None of my meetings. Okay.
Sorry, Tom, you're in charge
Yeah.
of the wrong group.
Yeah, sorry, Tom.
I can see that.
You guys can fight over the appointment next year. Just like, no.
Okay, time for public input. We'll give the public 2 minutes. They either call in at 319-753-8203 extension 4, or email board@dmcounty.com. That's board@dmcounty.com, or call 319-753 extension 4. Meanwhile, does anybody in the audience have anything? Yes.
I'm Rose Fisher. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Do I need to stay there?
Oh, you can
Okay.
sit down there, because we got speakers up there.
Okay, so, I'm here today with my husband Tim. We live on a farm outside of Pleasant Grove.
I'm sorry, can you spell your last name?
Fisher, Fischer. We live outside of Pleasant Grove on a farm that's been in Tim's family since the 1940s. And we're here today to express our opposition to the planned wind energy development. I had sent all of you an email last week, and I spoke with Mr. Carey on the phone. Concerning the moratorium issue, you said it was being taken under legal advisement, so I'm wondering if you have an update on that.
No, not yet. It's, have you heard anything from Fran, anything?
I'm expecting a response from that, another response from that attorney. I
Yeah.
emailed him a week and a half ago. So if I don't hear anything today, I will remind you.
So I guess what is the legal advisement that you're requesting?
What we've had him look over our ordinance, you know, in context, does it work the way we want it to work? That particular attorney, this is something he's familiar with, and so we wanted him to look over it and, you know, see what he liked, what he didn't like.
So it's not the ability to vote for a moratorium or to place a moratorium, it's more to find out more if your ordinance is okay? I guess
I've asked him a number of questions. Some of them, he's answered, some of them, you know, I don't know. I hope to have an answer to that. What we have planned to do is open up that ordinance again. I visited the Mechanicsville site some months ago, and I was concerned about some of our setbacks. So anyway, we sent that off whenever it was. And I asked, you know, I said, what does this look like? Does it function? We can open the ordinance up and change it. It just requires 3 public hearings. We've already had, when we passed the ordinance first time, we had a number of work sessions. We had 3 public hearings. Very few people showed up. We amended it. We opened it up again. We made some small changes to it. We held more work sessions. We held 3 public hearings again, and nobody came. So we've been through multiple meetings and public hearings with this ordinance. And anyway, so I mentioned we should open it up again after what I'd seen in Mechanicsville. So this isn't a surprise to anybody that this is here. We passed the First Amendment, maybe both of the ordinance and the amendment in 2023.
So obviously, we as citizens didn't do our due diligence and pay attention to what was going on.
I don't
Because
know, I'm
we
just
were
saying,
all
we didn't have,
blindsided
there were not a lot of people here.
Okay, so, but you are in agreement that the current ordinance is lacking? It does need some changes?
We are not in agreement about that. I said I wanted to open it. I don't know what these guys think. We have not had a work session on it since I set that ordinance off. We've got a bonding requirement that's sort of unending and inflation adjusted, and I wanted the lawyer to look at that, and I said, will this particular bond operate in the manner in which it's intended? And there were a couple, and that, I asked him about that. I just asked for an overview of our ordinance, and he's answered a couple questions, but I don't have all that yet. So I don't know, we have not had a meeting on whether to change that. My personal opinion was that we needed to look at the setbacks after my visit to Mechanicsville.
So there's also a lot of other issues with the current ordinance that have been brought to our attention. Based on that, and because you have questions, and do you other two have questions as well?
Regarding the current ordinance?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why we're gonna have another work session. If we didn't have questions, we would say, no, this is it, and that's fine.
But I will say this, I saw the list that was turned in, I think it was last week, and there were like 16 or 19 changes. I don't see that. But no, do I feel like even after talking to the lawyer, he made some suggestions as well, but I'm not sure, if you're getting at, are we going to make our ordinance line up with what the 19 changes that you guys had? Probably not, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I'm not one of the you guys, but
Okay, my apologies.
I guess my concern is, all three of you have concerns. There's obviously some unanswered questions. The fact that you're going to enter into a work session to try to remedy some of that, to me, dictates even better the need to place this moratorium. Because we need a work session, there needs to be more public input now that people are aware of it. Why not, do you vote on a moratorium? Are you able to vote on that here today, to place it?
No.
Can't vote on anything that's not on the agenda.
Can we put it on agenda for next week?
I'll table it if we do.
Because here's the thing, while you're sitting around waiting to see if maybe we can give you some input on the things that we want, if somebody applies, that ordinance is locked in.
We're stuck with what you
The
have.
ordinances are, but here's the thing, we've already had multiple work sessions on that. The ordinance is already out there. So I'm saying, it's not like we don't have an ordinance, we haven't put it out there in the ether, the ordinance is already out there. So somebody could go right in and then you're saying, that you want us to change an ordinance. I don't see how we could do that without having legal troubles, but I won't go any further than that, but the ordinance is already out there. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that, but that ordinance can be changed in different parts of the ordinance can be changed, is that right? By you people, by you
We
supervisors?
can make amendments to it, that's why we're gonna have a work session to see if there's any amendments that we need to make to this ordinance.
We've got a work scheduled a week from today.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding, I've gotten a lot of emails referencing that work session. The people that contacted me, and Mrs. Fisher, I don't think I got your email, because I responded to a number of emails that, when I got them, and then when I found out the work session was May 6th, I sent them each an email that said that work session was set for May 6th.
The first one I sent was to all three of you, and it was prior to last week's board meeting, that morning.
I will relook, I apologize, but I don't remember one with your name on it, and I've gotten several. But anyway, so yes, we can change that. So typically what we do is we have a work session, and we discuss what people are interested in. You would bring feedback to us. Then, when we open the ordinance for an amendment, we would discuss it, and we would have 3 public hearings that are published. How far ahead does the public hearing have to be published?
I think it's the 4 and 20 requirement, 4
no-
days and 20.
No, more than 20 days and no less than 4 days ahead of time. We would have a public hearing, we would take public comment, and after each public hearing, we would vote yes to continue having public hearings, or to just end the amendments. But after the 3rd public hearing, and Lisa's paying attention, so if I say something wrong, she's gonna raise her hand. But after the 3rd public hearing, then we would have a final vote on the proposed amendment, or amendments.
So what happens if this wind company actually submits a permit while we're trying to iron out proposed changes?
You know?
I believe we're stuck with what's on the books.
And it was in the paper, 2 representatives of that wind company reached out to me, maybe a month ago, whatever it was, and said they were going to be in town on I think it was a Thursday, and asked if they could meet with me Thursday afternoon. So I said, okay. So we met here, and they gave me a preliminary schedule, which I've gone through in this room in front of the press 2 or 3 times it's been there. They said that, they have an application for creating 168 megawatt, this is best my memory, 168 megawatt facility. And they need to get approved, I believe it's MISO or MISO, and I think that's probably the grid operator, would that be right? Anyway, so they told them that, they could maybe get back to them in the middle of 2026. But they said they didn't think it'd be that fast. They said no faster than this particular MISO work. They thought it would be late 2027. So they said they thought the earliest they would apply for a permit would be mid-2026. Again, that's what I was told. I have the numbers, anything else, all I know is what they told me. And they said if that was true, then I believed, they said that if they got approval in 2027, that that would be construction in 2029 and operational in construction in 2028 and operational in 2029. And if either members of the press, if I said something different the first time you wrote, I'm going from memory here. So, but that was the preliminary schedule I got. And I do not know. That's all I know is what they told me. And I told them, I said, we talked about Mechanicsville, and I told them I'd like to see, take a look at our setbacks. I said I had concerns about them after I'd been up there. Well, they were obviously familiar with that situation. And so anyway, that's why we're here, and I believe it was in the press, well, I know it was in the press, I read it in the paper, that meeting had occurred, and it wasn't a meeting, the Board of Supervisors wasn't there. These individuals called me and they said, Tom, can you sit down with us Thursday afternoon? And so I said, okay. So it wasn't a meeting the board had, it wasn't a discussion we had, I just sat down with them. And so that ended up in the paper, and I'm assuming somebody saw it that hadn't seen that before, and that's how this has come about. But an ordinance is not something you just sit down and vote on today, because it strikes our fancy. You have to have publishing, you have to give public notice. So it's not something that would happen overnight if we do change it. But we will have a work session, and everybody will be welcome to come and give us input. Matter of fact, I'm wondering now if we might want to think about having it someplace other than here.
This won't be big enough.
This might not be big enough, and
I've had a lot of emails in support of it too, from people who live in town, other places. So there's just as many people out there that we're getting it from both sides.
But they aren't gonna have it in their backyards.
Well, no, they're not, but they're green energy, so that's where it's at.
Well, if you look, I think I also sent you a link to the recorded presentation that Melanie Patton gave at Danville last week. So hopefully it's kind of long, but hopefully you had an opportunity to watch that. And if you received other letters, emails, then you know there's some issues. And we're not asking you to change an ordinance today. We're just asking you to put the moratorium in place to give us time to work on it.
You got what Trent said on that moratorium.
And if you can't, can you tell me why not? Why would you not place a moratorium on something that you know there is great disagreement on with people in the county?
I spoke with the lawyer about that, but I'm gonna find a way to screw this up when I explain it, so I think I'll wait for the lawyer to come back.
There's
and
already
break it
been
down.
there's already been contract signed for the line,
For an option,
for an option, yeah.
okay.
I think they're leases.
So if,
Okay, so it's a lease that
Yeah.
gives the wind company 7 years to try to get their development together, see if they can do everything they need, and then actually proceed. That's my understanding. So if they don't acquire enough land, or if they would lose their subsidies and shit can the whole project, then those leases don't mean anything. So I guess, and I think I sent Mr. Carey a link
yeah,
to the Iowa code. And basically it says that the county has the right to exercise certain powers.
And the county rests in the board, and we're asking the board to do something for all of the citizens of the county.
How do I say this? My understanding, in regards to the moratorium is, it could come back on us being sued because of the people that that purchased or leased the land. They leased the land according to the ordinance that we already had in place. If we change the ordinance, then it's a moving target, and they can come back and say, hey, now you're trying to change the rules in the middle of the game, and we're not gonna go for that, and then they could sue the Board of Supervisors. So as far as a moratorium, I don't think that's going to do us any, I think it's gonna probably get us in more trouble than it would to help the situation. Now, again, I'm not a lawyer, but that was the information that was given to me, and that's the best way I can explain it, but.
Can I jump in here? And we do have a lawyer here. I think we're getting pretty far afield. We're not being in a work session, just a question and answer a question and answer session.
That is my concern. I think a lot, I mean, I understand Mrs. Fisher wants to
Yeah.
make sure that you all understand her position, but this is more appropriate for the work session when it's on the agenda.
Yep.
We'll also give you the opportunity to speak with the attorney. Shane, you are right. We would potentially have contractual liability because there have been contracts entered. It's similar to criminal law. You can't charge a defendant in 2024 under a new law for something he did in 2020 when it wasn't a crime. Contractual obligations are much the same. It was contracted under the ordinance at the time. And so to just do a moratorium now, no, there would be potential county liability.
That's, incidentally, Ms. Fisher, I'm just looking through I did not get an email, whether maybe one of the emails was wrong or something. If you want to forward that to me, I would be happy to read it, but I did not get one from you.
I used the links on the Board of
No,
Supervisors website.
I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying, I went through and I've received a number of emails,
Did
but
you
there's nobody from Fisher.
I didn't receive one either.
I got the one from you, just the original one,
Really?
yeah.
Well, I will check, but I took those links right off the Board of Supervisors website, the contact info.
Don't know, I did.
Well, how about I
There's
resend-
There's one link that's board, B-O-A-R-D,
Yeah,
and,
I think I sent that during the meeting or right after because it had a link to Melanie's video, that one you're talking about, to the board. But there was one prior to that, that was to each of you named individually on one email.
Yeah, send them again through
Send it again.
BOARD at DMK.
I cannot find it, and I'm scrolling through my emails now, back till I'm at April 10th now.
Okay.
And yes, I did see that video as well. It's like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. It was very informative.
Yeah.
I did watch the video.
So,
Anyway, I think the attorneys, what do you think, Jim? The attorney just
Yeah.
gave us some advice that this probably isn't an appropriate conversation for a question and answer period. This would be more of an appropriate conversation. The Code of Iowa, you'll notice some boards, school boards and city, they don't respond to questions, and we've always tried to do that, but it can't get into any sort of a deliberation or discussion among the Board of Supervisors. This is getting a little out of hand, so if the board agrees with me, we have a work session coming up in 1 week.
Yeah.
There isn't anything that can happen today. During that time, everybody will get a chance to talk. Does that work for you guys?
That
Yeah,
definitely
no,
worked,
we already
that's,
got set up.
conversation's over for wind farm as of right now for today.
I do want to jump in on the public comment side, back to the former Sundown Apartments. Just a couple different perspectives. First, the law enforcement perspective. We've had a number of calls out there over the years. It truly had become, I hate to use this term, but essentially it's kind of a geographical anomaly for a location where sex offenders could reside because of the 2,000-foot residency restriction. if they committed an aggravated offense against a child. So we ended up with a number of registered sex offenders living out there. It aided in keeping track of them, but it also caused sex offenders from outside of our county to move into that location. What I'll say is, I haven't talked to Ryan about this project. I did talk to his partner, John Murray, because he was at the sheriff's office working on some eviction paperwork, and they've worked to remove those from that area. I've also had some feedback from other neighbors in that area that have appreciated the improvements that have gone on out there already to this point. We've had a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, we've had a highly reduced rate of violent offenses in the rural area of Moines County. We very low rate, but I can tell you that last year we had 2 incidents in rural Des Moines County that qualified as what we report as a violent offense, and one of them was at Sundown Apartments. We responded to overdoses, that kind of thing. That's what was happening there prior to the changes that are being made. From a law enforcement perspective, there's been positive changes already, and I think the improvements that are happening and could happen beyond that would be very positive for the community in that area. From a personal standpoint and even public policy, I've always appreciated the board's stance in the past about not using taxpayer dollars to fund private business. But if there was a creative way to make that happen, as it appears to be something that's being looked at, whether it be through like county infrastructure or whatnot, where it can actually go back to the county, it would be positive. And it'd be nice to see the improvements happen, the property be improved, and see those funds that are available on the state level come back here. So just some perspective of what we've seen in the past, the improvements that we're experiencing. And what I'll tell you is the sex offenders that were living out there are no longer there. They're in the process of being evicted because they're being evicted by us. And they have re-registered, a number of them, at least as when I checked last week, 5 of them have re-registered outside of Des Moines County. So the ones that have moved here have moved away because that is no longer a place that they can call home. So just wanted to offer that perspective of what we've seen here recently.
And to piggyback on that, because Sundown Apartments is the only apartment complex in Des Moines County that they can live in. And so when we have sex offenders who usually go through our RCF program, either through probation or parole work release, that is where the Department of Correctional Services sets them up to live. So that's why that's been kind of an issue. When you look at the concentric circles, to make sure that they're not within 2,000 feet of a school or a registered daycare or the other litany, that is like the one spot in the county that they can live.
Thank you.
So we will have some issues for those who are local. They're gonna probably end up registering homeless because there's just very little places for them to go.
You say that's a mile limit too, right?
It's a 2,000 foot residency
2,000
restriction.
foot resident.
If it's an aggravated offense against a child. So not all sex offenders are subject to that residency restriction.
It's still pretty close to where that daycare used to be over there at the church.
Yeah, it is outside of the 2,000 foot of all daycare schools. So it does qualify, but the truth is they moved on or in the process of being evicted now.
Okay, thank you. With an eye, we're out of here. Time for adjournment.
Aye.
Aye. Look forward to seeing you folks next week at the work